Good evening, Dr. Mathebula.
Hey, Mr. Stan, how are you?
I'm doing very well. You know, I'm having a gargantuan day. I am in Logofisio Ipopokunoras.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the migrants, the migrant labor system. You still remember the book by Itani Madima?
Oh, yes.
Asien. Lucky
Duma penned a very interesting song right here, and he's actually addressing issues that most musicians don't actually address, is it?
Yeah. I mean, the whole migrant labor system was dehumanizing because you were compelled to leave your wife at home, and then you were also compelled to look for another person to live with in the urban areas. And also there was a lot of cheating. You know? Men used to cheat on their women, and women used to cheat on their men. Who's fooling who?
You remind me of another song, a long time ago. This song was called Who is Fooling Who? Eh?
Yeah, who's fooling who?
So he actually penned a very interesting song, and I'm glad that he addressed those issues. And the album that song is taken from is called Victim. So you can tell by the album title, when he talk about victim, and then he also had to have a song like that, Dr. Mathebula. Eh?
Yeah, no, I think that was brilliant.
We are with Dr. Mathebula today. We're talking about something very interesting, and we're talking about relationship cycle. And when you talk about a cycle, the interesting thing about a cycle is that you don't see where it starts, and you also don't see where it ends. But there's actually a cycle, and Dr. Mathebula wants us to actually understand our relationship cycle. Dr. Mathebula, do we have what is called relationship cycle? Do we as people go through what is called relationship cycle?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. A relationship goes like a product life cycle. It goes through a cycle. And then, for example, you have got the infancy stage. You have got the adolescent stage, you have got the young adult, you have got the maturity stage, as well as the mastery stage. Now you go through all those cycles or those phases in your relationship, and each and every relationship and each and every cycle has got its own behavioral indicators.
So, Dr. Mathebula, how many people actually understand that every relationship has got to go through a life cycle?
A very good question, Stan. Very few people. People find themselves in relationships, but they don't know where they are in terms of the life cycle.
In terms of the life cycle. And if they will be able to understand where they are in that life cycle, Dr. Mathebula, they can be able to, for instance, quell some of the issues that can confront them in the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd actually find that the person has been in a relationship for 30 years, but you are stuck in the adolescent phase.
So, Dr. Mathebula, let's talk about those behavioral indicators of each stage or each phase of the life cycle, starting from the infancy stage.
Yeah, in the infancy stage, you have just fallen in love, and you are both excited or over the moon. The relationship is on a physical level, where physical union or sex is the name of the game.
Is the name of the game.
Yeah, you saw this man, he was handsome. You saw this woman was pretty. Now the focus now is on the physical features, and then also you suppress your feelings in order to accommodate the other person. Now, even if maybe she says to you, Stan, will you please come at about 10 o'clock? At night, you'll be there because you're suppressing your feelings. You can't say to her, I can't come to you because it's late or it's unsafe. You suppress your feelings. Yeah, you do things impulsively. You are impulsive. Imagine, Romeo and Juliet, the balcony scene. And there's a lot of impression management where you hide your true character. For example, if you are a miser, you go to a restaurant, you are going to pretend as though you are a person who's in a position to spend money.
You're not parsimonious, Dr. Mathebula. So you pretend that you are such a person. You are a big spender. Umureki, Dr. Mathebula.
Umurek, yeah. Hey, I forgot about that song.
Yeah.
And then also, you often avoid the acute angle or arguments. You don't want to argue. You avoid the arguments. And then it's at the stage where you see red lights, but you take a decision to avoid those red lights.
So that is the infancy stage, because you want to impress at that particular stage. Now it goes up to an adolescent stage. So what happens in adolescent stage, Dr. Mathebula?
Yeah, now you go into an adolescent stage. Now, there's an element of rebellion or lack of cooperation. You don't cooperate. You know, if for example she phones you and then you say, but why didn't you phone me yesterday? Said, well, why should I phone you? You know, like there's a lot of rebellion. There's a lot of arguments and fights. You know, you fight over words, you fight physically. You know, there's a question of gender-based violence because, you know, the emotions are brewing here. Yeah. And there's a tendency to do things without informing the other person. You know, a person would actually go to Durban without actually informing you that, you know, I've gone to Durban. You see, and then react to situations with an agility of a cat. Last week, you still remember, Stan, we spoke about how to react and how to respond. But you don't respond. You always react.
Oh, yes. You just react. Then this relationship goes to another stage, Dr. Mathebula, which is called the young adult phase. What happens then?
Yeah, now you move on to the and Stan, these stages you don't actually reach them, you know, automatically. It's not an automatic thing. You just make an effort to move on to the next stage, because if you don't make an effort, you'll be stuck to that stage. Now you move to the young adult. Young adult, you start to understand that love is not only a feeling but also a commitment.
Okay.
And then and you learn to cooperate for the common good of the relationship.
Okay.
You learn to leverage your diversity. You start to learn the character of the other person. You start to understand that she's not your clone, you are diverse. And you are not there to compete, but you are there to complement each other. And then you criticize less and cooperate more. There's a lot of cooperation.
So which means there's a bit of growth now from the previous stage of adolescence, and this one, people are actually working together, Dr. Mathebula. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. You are working together to improve your relationship. And today we talk about gender-based violence. Gender-based violence often happens when you are at an adolescence phase, you know.
Where there is less cooperation, Dr. Mathebula.
Less cooperation, more fights and the like. That's where you have got gender-based violence.
And then when we talk about young adults, you know, in our life, we see people that are young adults, but they progress and then become, you know, adults, and which is actually a maturity stage or phase. What happens then?
Yeah, in the maturity phase, you understand that you are different and not clones. And you try to leverage your diversity, as I've said. And you avoid unnecessary arguments. You use your differences not to compete, but to complement each other. You are proactive or plan for the future and how to get there.
And you do this together, Dr. Mathebula?
You do this together. It's a joint exercise.
And then when you are in that stage, everybody understand what is actually at stake there. So that will actually help you to move into a very interesting stage, which is called mastery phase, Dr. Mathebula.
Stan, that's where you are. You are in the mastery phase. You also went through all these stages. You are in a mastery phase. In a mastery phase, you don't react to situations, but you respond to them. You are in a position to face and transcend pain. In other words, you are now emotionally and spiritually intelligent. Now, even if maybe your partner or you loses your job, it's not a problem. you can transcend pain. Even if maybe your partner is sick, there's no problem. You can transcend pain. And then you've got as I said, you've got the capacity to face pain and life challenges. You understand that unity is strength. You understand that the other person is very important. And then you easily forget, or maybe you easily forgive each other for their transgressions. If there's a mistake or something like that, you easily forget. You forgive and forget. You overlook your partner's shortcomings for the collective good of the relationship. You don't focus on the mistakes anymore, but you focus on the good side of your partner. Now, this is the mastery phase.
The mastery phase where, there is the understanding that another person is also a human being like you. You work together to make the relationship work and raise the family if you are married and you have kids and you want to build a home. So that is the stage where you are able to transcend pain, for the common good of the relationship. Isn't that very nice, Dr. Mathebula?
Yeah, it's nice. But if you are going to relax and if you are going to relax and not work on your relationship, you can easily transgress.
So, which is actually very interesting, Dr. Mathebula. And, I want to ask this question because it's very important. I mean, you have reached all the stages of that relationship, all the phases that we're talking about. But the question is, do relationship now stay stagnant or move, Dr. Mathebula, once you know you are at that stage?
Yeah, it's very interesting. A relationship either moves or stagnates, or in its stagnation lies death. Now, in other words, if you don't work on your relationship is bound to stagnate. For example, if you are at the mastery phase, for example, you still have to buy your wife some flowers. You still have to call her dear. You still have to take her out on a date. You still have to work hard. You can't say that I've arrived, because as you know, Stan, that the road to success is always under construction. You'll never arrive.
It is always under construction. You'll never arrive. So you must always construct so that when there's a movement on that particular path, the path must be smooth for everybody to move. So you light on, you put the lights on, Dr. Mathebula, to make sure that you don't bump into each other in darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. But when there's load shedding, you need to buy a candle. Because it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness.
It's better to light the candle than to curse darkness. I'll use that as a code from Dr. Mathebula. So relationships are actually very interesting, Dr. Mathebula, because it goes through stages and different phases that we were actually talking about. But the question maybe remain there. Who need to always keep in check? Is it the one partner or both it's both partners' responsibility?
A joint venture, Stan.
Joint venture, Mathebula.
Absolutely, you need to work together. You are in this thing together with your partner. And
we often say, there is what is called. I don't want to say 50-50, Dr. Mathebula, but I know there is in community of property, there is out of community of property, and there is that other one that is called something. I didn't want to bite my tongue. Is it prenuptial or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. The legal people will help us.
Yeah, legal people, if you're there, please assist us. The number is 0624508619 right at VMC Planet Radio. I am with Dr. Mathebula, and we are talking about relationship and life cycle of relationship, and understanding that each and every relationship has to have a life cycle. And it doesn't mean that if you are at a maturity stage in your relationship, you have to stagnate or just think that you have arrived. It is actually a path that has to be paved, and you always working on it because it's always under construction, Dr. Mathebula.
Yeah, also, thanks, Stan, for that. Also, you'd actually find that you are still at an adolescent phase in your relationship and you are contemplating divorce. You are saying, you know what, we have got irreconcilable differences. Let me divorce. No, don't divorce. Strive to move to the next stage. Because the court of law, going to the divorce court is not going to solve your evolution as a person. I think you need to strive to move on to the next level of saying that I need to move out of this adolescent stage and I need to be a young adult.
Exactly. So, Dr. Mathebula, that is the reason why you find that some of the divorces can take years. I mean, I was very surprised where I read about somebody whose the divorce actually took more than 10 years.
Yeah, well, because there are so many issues. For example, you have said out of community property or in community property. More often than not, where the divorce takes years is where people are worried about their property. They're worried about their pension and the like, and then they try to buy time.
Oh, okay. I understand. So they try to buy time. But, I like the fact that we're talking about life cycle. Please, I know people who are listening, look at your life, look at your relationship, and look at which cycle are you at, and try and move forward so that your relationship can become better and can become a relationship that other people might want to emulate, Dr. Mathebula. Yeah,
it's something that you need to work hard in order to get your relationship to a mastery phase. Anybody is capable of reaching the mastery phase. But the thing is, you need to be aware of where you are and what you could do next. Every person has got the potential to reach the mastery phase. And I hope our listeners will reach the mastery phase. Those who are contemplating divorcing, please don't go to the divorce course because you are still on your way to the mastery phase.
The number is 062-450-8619 right here at VMC Planet Radio. The one called Mpapuri says, Dr. Mathebula, thank you so very much for this slot. I am always moving with you wherever you go. And thank you so very much. And he says, big up to you, German. Dr. Mathebula, they just called you German.
German, because they know that I've got reggae myelitis.
You've got reggae myelitis. Dr. Mathebula, I beg to differ when it comes to issue of not divorcing. Sometimes you can't stay when you see there's no movement in this particular relationship.
Yeah, well, what the listener must actually understand is divorce is like an amputation. You survive it, but there's less of you. And what we are actually trying to say to you today is that you might actually find that you are in the adolescent stage and you are still evolving. And then once evolving, try by all means to work on the relationship so that you can move on to the next stage. But if you are going to say to yourself that, no, I'm giving up, this woman cannot transform and the like, no. Together, you need to work together to move on to the next stage. That's what we're actually saying. We are building families here. We are not destroying. I know so many people who wanted to divorce in the past, but there was an intervention, and now they are still together.
And then somebody who did not sign here says, my comment is that Mujolo is a problem, Dr. Mathebula.
Yeah, that's true. Mujolo is a problem because a lot of people are still unfaithful. You still remember we spoke about Mother Teresa the other time when she said, I don't pray for success, I pray for faithfulness. Because Mujolo, another thing, what happens about Mujolo is that you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money on a person who does not really love you. At the end of the day, you start realizing that being in that relationship, I had to drive, I had to, to give her money, I had to do this, I had to do that. If you could actually say to yourself, let me focus on my marriage or let me focus on this relationship, you'll be successful. Mujolo is not going to pay you anything because these women or these men, they're there for something. They're not there to give you love. Say, focus on a person who's going to give you love.
Somebody called Russell says, I am here for wisdom. He says, I'm here for wisdom, Dr. Mathebula.
Yeah, no, maybe we need to define what wisdom is. Wisdom is accumulated experience, and knowledge is accumulated facts.
Knowledge.
And all of us, knowledge is accumulated facts. You go to university, you get your degree and the like. Those are facts. And then wisdom is about accumulated experience. Like, for example, I'm talking to you from experience because I've been through all these stages. And then now I can proudly say, and then my wife is around, she can say that we are now at the mastery phase. And we had to go through mountains and valleys.
Exactly. Dr. Mathebula is at the mastery stage because he has gone through mountains, valleys. He even had to, go through some landmines, sometimes even hopping with one leg. Eh?
Yeah, that's true.
Dr. Mathebula, what advices do we have? What wisdom do we have from Mars to Venus?
Yeah, firstly, we say, be tender to him, realizing that he has feelings too. A man has got feelings, and then you need to be tender to him. You need to be as tender as a butterfly. You need to be as tender as butterfly to him. That is Dr. Mathebula. That is the first one. The second one? The second one is foster an atmosphere of laughter in your home. Look for ways to laugh together. You need to laugh together. Love together. There's a song, I think, by the OJs that says, me and my woman, we cried and we cried together. We cried together. We cried. Yeah, we cried together. And then, Stan, but today there's a bonus. Another thing is, don't treat your man like an ATM. A man must not actually feel that I'm in this relationship because this person wants money from me. A man must actually feel that I'm in this relationship because this woman wants love. We are here for love. We are not here to use each other and abuse each other. We're not here to use each other and abuse each other. And we are not here for material things. Dr. Mathebula. Thank you so very much for coming through. Rastaman today is not here. I think he went international, Dr. Mathebula. Yeah, I went international. Hey, you know what, Stan? I'm leaving the show not because I want to. I'm leaving the show because I have to. That is Dr. Mathebula right here at VMC Planet Radio. We are going to chat some more next week. And but we'll talk next week what we are going to be talking about, right? Yeah, we talk about it. But also our listeners, they're at liberty to give us topics. Listeners are at liberty to give us topic. The number is 0624508619. You can contact Mr. Stan also on Facebook. It's Mboneni Stan Muraudzi on Facebook. And it is at Dr. In fact, not at Dr. At Mathebula on Twitter. And it's Dr. Mathebula on LinkedIn. That is where you can be able to get us. And whenever we are together, we are bound to be having an ilogoficio popokunaras time together. And we always, when we have this show, have a gargantuan day. It is VMC Planet Radio. But Mr. Stan, before I leave, I've got a suggestion. I think today's show, because maybe people didn't actually have time to write the notes in terms of the phases. I think maybe tomorrow you can actually post those phases in your Facebook so that they can actually have them. I will do so, Dr. Mathebula. Thank you so very much. In fact, that is a very kind of you to do, because I know some of the people might not, because we were moving very fast, Dr. Mathebula. Yeah, we're moving very fast. But we're moving very fast. But the bottom line is you must reach the mastery phase.
The bottom line, reach the mastery phase, and that is what Dr. Mathebula Mathebula is saying. And then he says wisdom is actually accumulated experiences, and knowledge is accumulated facts. Thank you so very much, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula.
Thanks, and enjoy the show, Stan.
Thank you so much.